Good evening, everybody. So we are rolling into day 39 of our Minute Bible Verses. So today we are going to be in Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, and we're going to be in verses 1 through probably 14. We're just going to kind of read for a little bit again and go from there. There's a lot packed into this first part here. So Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 starts off, "There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search, a time to give up, a time to keep, a time to throw away, a time to tear, a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What do workers gain from their toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is a gift from God. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken away. God does it so that people will fear him." So, whole lot to unpack here, and there's a lot of really good nuggets of knowledge in here. So this first section, verses 1 through 8, goes through this kind of repetitive verse. Time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, a time to kill, a time to heal. And it continues on. And the point of this, it starts off saying there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. So what I think this is really getting at is how timing is important, and that all these different experiences that are listed here are appropriate for different times. The kind of the goal or the secret to understanding our life and our walk with God is trying to find the perfection in God's timing. There's a lot of times where things just don't seem to be going our way. Things seem crazy or things aren't lining up. But how many times have you thought that in your life, and then you look back now from a later perspective and you realize, oh, there is actually maybe good timing for that. Maybe there is a reason God made me wait for this. An example for me is since the day that I graduated from Abilene and went off to college, I just wanted to move back home. And for 9 years, I lived away from home. And the timing just never seemed to line up right. Every time we tried to push and force ourselves back home, we referring to Abby and me, it didn't work out. And then one time, it just finally kind of felt right. And we took a leap of faith and just left Hays. We didn't have jobs. We didn't have anything lined up in Abilene. We didn't have a place to live. We just put our house on the market for sale in Hays, and everything kind of fell into place. So those are the things that kind of this first chunk is talking about, is trusting God's timing, and that it may not seem like it makes sense in our heads. The upper story that God is running compared to our lower story is very much has more perfect timing and a higher understanding than we can comprehend. So we need to trust in God's timing. So moving on from there, we run into verse 9. It says, "What do workers gain from their toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart." So kind of breaking this down, what do workers gain from their toil? This is talking about kind of like our earthly, obstacles in the work that we do down here on earth. it is seen to be a burden that God has laid out on the human race. Hard work and working through our lives is actually a gift from God. Obstacles, hardships, although it's kind of hard to comprehend them as gifts, they are meant as gifts. And the reason for that is it's to kind of show us our humility and our humanity and look towards Him. Hardships, obstacles, trials, tribulations, all of that and purpose is to bring us closer to God and come back to Him. That is kind of the purpose of that. And then I really like the verse, He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. What does it mean to have eternity set in our hearts? Personally, this is just my interpretation. We, as made in the image of God, are given our soul, and we have this spiritual hunger, this want. Whether or not you're a Christian or not, I think it's there. I think we all have a questioning and a wanting of eternity, and that I think is what this verse is referencing to, is that we have a want to spend eternity with God, whether we think we do or we don't. And it's something that comes from us being made in God's image, is we can elevate ourselves a bit above earthly wants and needs because we've been given that gift from God. So yeah, and then the last part here, I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat, drink, and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is a gift from God. And this is just a reference again to kind of those obstacles, those humanly obstacles we run into on the day-to-day, and we should, it tells us we can find satisfaction in all of that toil, and that is a gift from God, knowing that everything God does will endure forever. So everything that God gives us in terms of gifts and the things we learn in tribulations and toils are meant to elevate us, and we can find satisfaction in that. There's a lot of times, I'm sure all of us can recall, a difficult obstacle, challenge, whatever you want to call it, that we've gotten through with God's help, and finding satisfaction in that it humbled us, we came through it, and we're closer to God because of it. So yeah, that's all I got for tonight. Kind of a longer one, so if you made it this far, thank you. God bless you all, and have a good night.